Coming off Elimination Chamber, and John Cena has turned heel. We got to talk about that, as well as Rhea Ripley and more things coming out of this past week in the world of pro wrestling. I am Jeff Martin alongside the trendsetter Brian Berger, and this is HSP Podcast, High Spot Podcast, here on the Give Us a Shot Network. You can follow us here, subscribe, and make sure you hit that notification bell to make sure you don't miss a single episode of HSP. That's right, give us a like and subscribe. And guys, we are on that road to WrestleMania. What an eventful weekend we had. Trendsetter, if you join us on the live on our High Spot Podcast Instagram, we heard our instant reaction, our immediate reaction to John Cena turning heel. We'll talk about that in just a little bit because now it is the aftermath. It's a few days later, and we'll talk about that. Make sure we analyze it now, coming off a few days after an eventful chamber. Probably one of the best PLEs we've seen in a long time. Honestly, I'm going to say WrestleMania was the last big PLE that I saw, and this has kind of had like all the makings from top to bottom. It was an amazing card for WWE. We'll talk some NXT, wrap up Elimination Chamber, talk some AEW as well as we'll have our preview to Revolution in the next episode, but we'll just delve into Dynamite a little bit. And then just talk about the world of pro wrestling and all the headlines and news coming out of there. So, Trendsetter, how are you doing today, man? Off the heels of one of the biggest, momentous nights in WWE, John Cena turns heel. How you doing, man? How are you reacting to it? What have you heard from the people, from the wrestling fans that have talked to you? Are they still in shock, or is it now, let's see what happens as John Cena is only a couple weeks away from showing up finally on Raw?
Hey, Jeff, it's good to join you, man. The reaction I've gotten from individuals has not been, I mean, again, I don't hang out with little kids where you're seeing them tear up on social media and crying that their hero
It has been fun seeing that.
turned their back. Yes. But from the individuals that I've spoken to, Jeff, it's really more of that, wow, they didn't see that happening. They didn't think it was going to happen. A lot of what we talked about during the live Instagram when we did the post-show reaction to Elimination Chamber, the biggest thing was that I got from most people was you didn't think at this stage it was going to happen because you felt that they're going to rest on their laurels. It was going to be a farewell tour where it's just going to be John Cena saying goodbye to everyone, either putting people over or trying to find that level of confidence he once had, because it wasn't the same for several years. He even mentioned several times he's on a losing streak. He has a lot to do. Then we saw after the Royal Rumble that his attitude had changed. And with that, him selling his soul now to The Rock, the final boss. And so just a lot of people had the reaction of they didn't see it coming because he's got 10 months to go and didn't think it was going to happen at this stage of his career.
Let's talk about that as well, because when we heard the press conferences, everyone was talking about how the sauce was made, right? And thinking about that as well, I kind of ended up having a problem. I'm not sure if you do, but these press media scrums that we see, to me, honestly, and I don't want to say this because I'd eventually like to go there just once, but they kind of seem unnecessary nowadays because I don't think that, first of all, sometimes the questions just are really not worthwhile. And then also too, like The Rock gave away a lot. Like if you go back to when Hogan turned heel, we had that mystery of suspense because we had to wait a couple weeks till we saw Hogan after Bash at the Beach, and it was all speculation. You didn't know the inner workings until you heard 83 weeks and you heard about all this stuff, whether Hogan was the third man, all the stuff, all the turmoil of trying to get Hogan to agree to become a heel, everything that happened, all the stories that you're going to hear. Like if this was back in the 90s, you wouldn't hear about this, how everything started, till maybe 5, 6, 7 years from now. But now, when The Rock coming out here and telling how like this was, telling stories and how happy they are and how John was happy with it, it's kind of tough when John Cena comes out before he drops the mic, which is really a great thing that he did too. But then The Rock kind of giving it away, and I don't think it would have happened under Vince. I don't think that would have happened. I think it would have been really protected. But then The Rock is The Rock, and he can say whatever he wants. But I just don't think that you want to give away everything. I get why they did the behind the scenes with WrestleMania and how Cody got to the main event last year. And I think it was more kind of like, making The Rock look good and not having him be the bad guy, and to why he just came in and kind of took the spot away from Cody. And the fans, you spoke up and you got Cody to that main event anyways. I think sometimes some things should just be left to our imagination, and they did a great job of hiding it because under Vince, you would see a lot of things leak out. But now it's been more tight-lipped, and a lot of people have kind of kept it quiet. We didn't see it coming. It was an option, but it was the very last option. And you didn't see it on all the dirt sheets that Cena might turn heel. You didn't hear it anywhere. Not that I at least know, not at the reputable wrestling dirt sheets that didn't have it. So I'm kind of a little bit bothered about, before we get to the Cena thing, are you a little bit bothered by the press conference? Because again, it was late and The Rock was going and that Terramina was kicking in. So he was, letting things be known. But did you have a problem with the press conference?
Honestly, I didn't. I really didn't. I get your point and what you're saying about sometimes you want to keep things protected, close to the vest. We don't want to break the illusion. But let's be honest, Jeff, the illusion's been broken for so many years now. It really has. And I do appreciate the fact of like the old school mindset that, you love the trick and the illusion. You don't want it to be revealed. But in the same sense, too, I appreciate the illusion, how it's performed and how it's executed. Listen, for the diehard core John Cena fans that have been there since the very beginning, and the ones that are growing up still idolizing this larger than life character of John Cena. It's also known that John Cena has also changed as well. During his press conferences, he talks more about the reality instead of the Superman John Cena that we're so used to. What The Rock did here, and this is the interesting thing about The Rock, though, which makes him so unique, that he can turn it on and off. We saw him prior when he was on, asking Cody to make a decision in Elimination Chamber. He was announcing how WrestleMania was going to be in New Orleans. People were cheering him. He was showing his love, saying, "Thank you, everyone, love you." And then 5 seconds later, he's the final boss again. And then back to, being loved in the babyface, and then back to the final boss. So it's a very unique time that we're in that he's able to do that because, again, I don't think a lot of people have that flexibility like he does. He is, theoretically the boss and he can do what he wants. For John, though, it's still a scenario, though, even though he dropped the mic and then you have The Rock talking about John, the decision he made, he was really talking about it from his perspective of where he thinks John's decision making was. He wasn't relaying things that John was saying to him. So that part was still kept secret. But we're still left because we want to know what this character, this new character of John, is going to say, how they're going to justify their actions. So that part, regardless of the fact that the curtain's open, is still something we're intrigued. Maybe not to the equivalent when Hogan turned and joined the NWO and we're like waiting, like, what's Hogan going to say? Because at that stage in our lives and in a lot of people's lives too, it still felt very real. We felt this war happening between WCW and WWE. So I don't have a problem with it. I get your point though, in terms of protecting it, but I think the biggest magic of it all was the fact that they kept it in wraps that nobody anticipated. I remember you banging my shoulder. Well, like, yeah, Brian, look. And I was like, what? And I looked at his face. I was like, wow, they're going to do this because you never suspected it was going to happen. So to me, that was the magic.
Listen, I don't mind the way Triple H goes about it because he tells you about, hey, this is John. This is something, he's taking a risk doing it. That's fine. But the fact that you go a little bit more is just, to me, there's that old school in me about the kayfabe. I know kayfabe's dead. Trust me, I'm not naive about it. You see on Instagram, you see social media. Social media has killed kayfabe a lot, and there's no more that old school protect the business, protect the secret, right? Because we know the secret, but
Yeah.
it's just, to me, that with something this major, you want to be able to not just give away everything. I want you to keep. I think the best thing they should do is, if you're a wrestler, like, I guess Undertaker protected the gimmick forever, wherever he was. And I just think that the gimmick, the storyline, everything should be in that character at all times. Now I get The Rock is different, man. The Rock transcends stuff. He's generational. He's cultural. I get that, but I just think just a little bit less, so that we have some sort. So there's just some sort of mystery about how the magic is done, right? I mean, they won't tell us how Undertaker does the electricity, and that they won't say, but they won't mind telling you the whole storyline here, whatever. So I just have a little bit of a problem, but I'm not going to lose sleep over it because, again, I'm more into the story. Even Michael Cole said, "Hey, we're into the storytelling," but I just don't need to. I respect the storytelling, but sometimes those secrets, I just maybe just keep a little bit of a secret to me. But anyway, nitpicking about a press conference, that's fine. To me, honestly, I don't think we should have more press conferences like that, but I get why they do it. But now we get into the whole John Cena turning heel, and obviously we talked about it on the IG live that we had that after Chamber. And make sure you check out all our IG lives after every major PLE and major pay per view. We will be on High Spot Podcast on Instagram. Make sure you follow us there. But I'm gonna say this: that John Cena, everyone he's getting scrutinized for not coming out this past week in Buffalo and addressing the crowd. He's getting beat up on because he's not going to be at MSG this coming Monday night to address the New York crowd, which I thought would have been great. But you got to realize that when Hulk Hogan turned heel at Bash at the Beach, we didn't see him till the week after Bash at the Beach. We did not see him on the Monday night show after Bash at the Beach because then, but again, it's just difference of social media and people calling out for it. You didn't hear that much of an anger or a lot of people telling, hey, this is how you should do it. But I don't have that much of a problem with it because it just builds up that anticipation. And yes, is it going to be overseas? That's going to be an issue. But I think what John Cena needs to do is I think John Cena needs to go back. And I know he's a student of the game. Go back to that Hulk Hogan preview, to that promo after Bash at the Beach, not the one after he turned heel, but the one on that Monday Nitro. And he should just play off of that, man, because he's going to get booed. So here's the thing: do you think he will get booed overseas? Because it's different. If it's a different animal, because John Cena could be popular overseas. So that's what I'm interested in. Will he be booed on Raw in a couple weeks on March 17th on that edition? Will he get booed? Right. But if he were to, he needs to play it off, and I think he'll know how to do it. I think he's John Cena. He knows how to get that. He'll know how to get that heat. It was so easy for him for all these years, right? But now we're on that nostalgia tour with John. But I think he needs to play off that Hulk Hogan promo. And when they start booing him, he needs to say, like, how dare you boo me after I did all that stuff for your kids? Even bring up the Make-A-Wishes. Grab that heat because Trendsetter, I'm going to tell you this. We're going to talk about the longevity of this heel John Cena, right? But how do you think he should come out? Do you think it's a good idea to try to study off of that Hulk Hogan promo? Or do you think he needs to be different? He needs to be John Cena?
I'm sure it's been mentioned to him. I don't know that for sure, but I can think that, like you said before, he's a student of the game. He knows the history of things like this and the significance of the decision he made, right? I don't necessarily feel he needs to do anything different. Listen, in terms of the crowd booing him, yeah, they're going to boo him, but as we know, both of you and I know, and the members of the crew know that he's been used to that most of his career anyway. So the booing is not
You
going to.
think overseas they'll boo him right away?
I think so. They'll boo him because again, this is impactful. Not just in the States, WWE known globally in the reach that John Cena has had globally as well. I mean, you put him up there with Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock. I mean, these major stars in WWE that people know globally as well. I think there'll be boos there. There might be some cheers, but I think there'll be boos. It'll all depend on what he says or what he doesn't say. Because here's the difference between that era before in the past when Hogan came out all in black, would tell the fans to stick it. I don't think John really changes much, similar to what The Rock said during the press conference for Elimination Chamber, that he wouldn't be surprised if he came out in the colorful hat, the jorts. He probably won't be like going to work and doing the salute or anything like that, but coming out in that gear, because I don't think he's going to make a drastic change 180 and change it that fast. It'll be levels to it because one of our good friends here for the show, Chris Van Vliet, had him on a show Insight, and John was like, he was ready to change everything. Everything was going to be different. So maybe in this version of John Cena, he's not going to give an explanation, at least not yet right from the get-go. He's going to let the crowd continually ask the question why, and when you don't give that answer right away, because we all want that instant gratification of, all right, now you've been gone for 2-3 weeks, now give us the reason why you did what you did. You don't have to necessarily get it right away, and that's going to make people hate him even more and make those boos louder and create more anticipation. Even the people that hate, oh, he's not on next week, his schedule's limited. Well, he's earned that right, and I hate to say it, but he has earned it. And at the same time, too, when you have characters like a Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, these special, unique individuals, less is more. So I don't think when we finally see John Cena on Raw, we're not going to get any answers. I wouldn't be surprised if he did the same thing he did during the press conference. Go out in the middle of the crowd. They'll be booing him. It will last for a good 5, 8 minutes, 10 minutes. Who knows? Because it's on Netflix. They have no time limit now of what they want to do to get that effect of that arena booing him out of the building. and then taking the mic and then just dropping it and walking out with time is now. And as time goes by, we'll see a different probably version of John Cena, but he won't be smiling. He won't be throwing up the fingers like this. He won't be throwing the hat in the crowd. He'll just be stone faced like we saw him at the end of
How
Elimination.
scary was that death stare?
Oh
That
yeah,
was pretty damn scary. That's still in my night. That's still in my nightmares, dude. That stare by John Cena, man, that was crazy, man. I think he might have gotten like a little black eye or something like that, or something in the match. But he had like that part of the eye that looked a little bit.
a
Uh,
shiner. Yeah,
yeah, he had like a bit of a shiner, and man, it was just like creepy. But
so
and I,
the effect worked perfectly. It
it
did.
did, it did. Yeah,
As soon as you saw that face, you were like,
that stare
"Whoa!"
was pretty intense, man. And I like your theory about less is more. And man, if he just comes out there and he goes all the way to Brussels, and I'm pretty sure he's filming a movie. I believe The Rock said he was in Africa, but imagine he goes to Brussels, right? And he goes and he comes out, and you're right. How about theme song? I'm gonna say he does come. I'm gonna guess he's not gonna come out to that song. If
I
there's
think
something
he
that
will.
does change, I think it might be the song. It might be Thugonomics because he did tease it, or maybe he just trying to throw us off, but he did tease it on his TikTok where he's coming out to or where he changed the music there to Thugonomics, and so that could be a change. But I would love to see the reaction of the audience in the IWC if he just does come out in his normal outfit, his bright colors, and he comes out minus the stew thanking and all that stuff, and slowly walks to the ring, and he does the craziest thing and just drops the mic in the middle of the ring because he doesn't owe you an explanation. That would be one way to go, and it would lead us hopefully maybe into a few weeks where he does come into the US and we get that answer, because Cody's going to address The Rock. Cody's going to address John Cena on Friday Night SmackDown, so we'll see what happens to that. But your theory of John Cena just coming all the way to Brussels just to drop the mic in the middle and just walk out, I think to me that would be crazy if that's the way they go.
Yeah, and to even add more to that too, you're asking about the theme music. I think he probably doesn't even come out the theme music. He might come out to "My Time Is Now," because, like I said, John Cena is a unique individual where he doesn't want to do what the conventional thing is as a heel. As your music's changed, your wardrobe's changed. I mean, he might do that. I'm not throwing that out that that's not a possibility. But I think he'll come out to the same stuff, and then to add on to the effect, which I was just thinking when you were talking about it and giving your ideas as well of what might happen. Imagine he does the mic drop, right? And then he takes off the baseball cap, puts it in the floor, takes off the John Cena colorful shirt. The last time is now, throws it on the floor, and then walks out. That's like basically it's symbolic of like throwing the women's title in the garbage. Like he's taking everything that John Cena represented and leaving it in the middle of the ring. Pretty, pretty artsy there in terms of that's what you do to the crowd, is saying the John Cena you once know or knew is gone. He's dead. He is no more. This is a different version. So that would add more effect to it as well.
Wow, that would be really that would be a way to go, and I think it would be a really good way because listen, John Cena is again like he's a Hall of Famer. He's been through everything. He knows how to get the booze. He knows how to. He doesn't even have to get the booze. He's been getting booze his whole career, so he knows what it's like. He knows what he has to do. He knows the intricacies, and he's had to been thinking about this because I believe in 2012 or 2013 when it was that chance that he might have gone heel. I'm pretty sure he was thinking about it. I'm pretty sure he thought about the music, how he wanted it to be. Obviously, times have changed, but this is going to be so interesting because to me, Trendsetter, everyone's talking about how eventually Cena will turn back to babyface and who is going to be the one to turn him back before his run is over. But what I'd love to see is this, and this is what my theory is. I think John Cena, since he knows how much he has to invest in the next 10 months, I part of me believes that especially with Hulk Hogan. And obviously, the comparisons are there. That's why we're always going to go back to Hogan because besides that, you can correlate these two because they go hand in hand. That Hulk Hogan in '96, he was not as popular as he used to be. That Hulk Hogan that you saw for the last 20 years, Hulkamania, was dying, right? And it was just new generation of fans. We were getting into the '90s where rebellion was the key. He got a good 3-year run out of it, and he was a top heel in the business. John Cena has got to walk away, and not that PWI is end all be all, but I want John Cena to be the PWI villain of the year. I want to see him get that award. I want to see everything that being a heel is going to do for John Cena, and I believe not that John Cena is but you got to admit, John Cena's career when he came back was dying because of all the losses to Austin Theory, to Solo Sikoa. John Cena said he hadn't won a match and God knows when, right? And then losing at the Rumble kind of, to me, triggered it. Losing at the Rumble triggered John Cena and saying, "This is the route I have to go," because he knows that he's the GOAT, and he knows that 17 at first wasn't a big deal, but he's going to go for 17. How much it means to Cena now, right? So I think that I think that this heel turn should be a good 2-year run at least. I can see a way or a matter where John Cena says, "Hey, you know what? In respect to the business and the longevity of being a heel, I can't just end it in 10 months because there's so many other things that you can do here, and you're going to try to put it all in 10 months." I could see John Cena lasting through another WrestleMania. Now the dates could be sparse, and he could be like a Roman Reigns and a Brock Lesnar. Hey, let's be honest. He's already on that schedule, right? I think he can do it in a way where he can keep this at least 2 years. And I think, out of respect for this heel turn, you can't do it for 10 months, or you can't do it after Mania. You realize, hey, that this is realize the error of your ways, and go back to being a babyface that fast. And I think John knows that, and I think the WWE knows that. And if they had not have the conversations yet, I think they will. And John Cena will at least think about giving this heel run at least one more WrestleMania. I'm not going to say year, but I'm going to say one more WrestleMania, just because I think that the heel turn for John Cena deserves it.
Listen, I like what you're saying. It makes a lot of sense because when you really think about it, to your point, doing this creates a longer longevity in a scenario, in a situation where John Cena is now in his career. Opens a whole bunch of doors of possibilities now that we haven't seen in terms of this version of John Cena. But as much as I like what you're saying and I agree, it makes sense, I just personally don't think it's going to happen though, because the only thing that I've known from watching John Cena, of course, I don't know him personally. No, none of us know him personally. He's a very private guy, right? But the one thing that's been pretty true throughout his career and what he's done as an individual is that he's pretty set in his ways. Like once he lays something out, he's going to fulfill it no matter what. And that could be a positive or a detriment to him too. But like what Triple H would say several times too, that John has earned this right. He's said it several times. I know this is pro wrestling too, Jeff, because a lot of times promises are broken. I get it, but in his own way and his conviction, I think he's set on that this is it. We're going all out no matter what. And as much as I'm sure as time goes by, especially the momentum that this thing is going to get at the end of 10 months, I am sure individuals like Triple H, Nick Khan, creative friends of his will be like, John, are you sure? I mean, because we could do a lot of this stuff here. This is great stuff.
So much business, so much money left on the table.
And John will be, no, I'm done in 10 months. I just feel that he has that much conviction in what he says and when he is. I mean, granted, in terms of the character change, in terms of the person himself, I think he's said on there. He's announced, "This is my final WrestleMania. That is it. You will not see me again." Type of thing. I mean, we make
in the ring.
that in the ring, exactly. You want to see me in the ring again. But in terms of not being in the ring, if you're still champion or you're still involved in storylines, that's one thing. But kind of like The Rock too. We talked about this during the last show. We talked a little about this also during the live Instagram too. It's like when there's no payoff in terms of Rock, the final boss, kind of sucks because you want to see that payoff. You want to be able to see that in ring interaction between Cody and Rock. I know we got that WrestleMania 40, but it was in a tag team match. You kind of want that one-on-one thing. But like I said, I just don't think it's going to happen. I think John is really going all out for these 10 months, and when it's all over, it is all over.
Could you see him? Well, obviously, you just told me right now you don't see him even agreeing to it. But I think that there's going to be that talk because there's just a lot of money left
Sure,
on
he'll
the
listen
table.
to it, but
Um,
I don't think he'll be convinced to do it.
yeah, I mean, honestly, like there's just a lot, and then try to wrap up. Like, I mean, maybe him and Roman one more time. Maybe, uh, and well, obviously CM Punk is going to be one that's going to be a juicy one to culminate that rivalry. So John Cena, and here's what I wanted to say: John Cena is 47 right now. Okay, so obviously you heard people like AJ Styles say they're gonna, he's a little bit older, but she's probably gonna hang him up at 50, right? I'm telling you, man,
Yeah, AJ Styles is 47 right now.
he is right. So I know the body. I know the body's not long for taking bumps, right? And John's made obviously he's talked about that, but I mean, there's just too much money left on the table for them to just walk away out of 10 months. So I think there will be a slight window where they might talk about it. And I do think that they might change it, might extend it just because of this too. And so we'll see what happens. But again, we're going to enjoy the ride, and we're going to look forward to March 17th when John Cena makes his first appearance after turning heel. And obviously, the wrestling world, everyone was shook. And I've seen people that aren't even wrestling fans find out about this, because that's how impactful this is. John Cena transcends, right? He's Hollywood. And when you see it on First Take and you see it on those shows and you see people reacting to it, obviously, that's what I'm saying. It's just so much. There's people that don't even watch wrestling that are watching it because of this. So they're going to get their wrestling. If it's just for WrestleMania to get these views, I think it's short-sightedness. I don't think WB is short-sighted about anything right now. So we'll see what happens with that. But obviously, lots to discuss with Cena. He'll be there March 17th. As far as we know, March 17th, Cody Rhodes this Friday night on SmackDown will address the whole John Cena beatdown. How about the beatdown you got from Travis Scott? You were telling me this too, that he's got some receipts. I don't think Cody's that way. But if anyone deserves a receipt, it's Travis Scott, man. He suffered a black eye and a busted eardrum. Just your thoughts on Cody taking a beating at the Chamber.
Listen, from dramatic effect, it's like if anybody could take a beating, it's Cody Rhodes, right?
Oh, yeah.
How he got beat up by the final boss in front of his his bus, and the brutality of that to the brutality of this being destroyed by two individuals and a celebrity in Travis Scott, and doing what he did. And listen, we can talk about how nice Cody is, and Cody is a nice guy too, but at the end of the day, this business that you're in, and again, I'm not saying this to attack Travis Scott. I'm sure possibly he was lost in the moment. He just was enthusiastic about the crowd and being in that type of environment, and maybe the
Or he was
best
just high out of his mind.
high out of his mind. That too. Yeah, I was going to add to that too. Thank you for adding that for me. I was gonna mention that as well. But at the end of the day, you have to understand that you're in an industry that's the case. So I don't think it's going to be out of malice, but there's a receipt coming for Travis Scott. If there isn't, I feel it's going to be horrible, because you've got to make that for the boys in the back, as old school as it is, because you're in this world and you have to respect it. When you do something like that, accident or not, or hide out of your mind or not, doesn't matter. You're going to get payback for that, and it's going to come regardless of when it happens, but it's going to happen, and Cody be the one to deliver it.
Lots to discuss about Monday Night Raw, because obviously it was a really good show, and started off with Seth Rollins and CM Punk. And that was a CM Punk that we had not seen in a very long time. I would say that the last time we saw CM Punk that heated was totally the Raw recap. We'll get to that, Johnson, in just a little bit, but not yet.
Mm-hmm.
So let's wait for
We're
that.
alluding to there.
It's we're alluding to his Seth Rollins. Yeah, we're his reaction. But we're talking before. We haven't seen CM Punk that heated since, I would say, that spat with Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins, and he comes out after Seth Rollins curb stomped him, and then John Cena took advantage of it and beat him at the Chamber. And this is intense, dude. This is the CM Punk that I love to see. And him and Seth Rollins just started fighting and fighting and fighting. Had to be broken up several times. And obviously, Seth Rollins made some comments on the Raw recap, the first Raw recap on YouTube, where Seth Rollins basically says, "I hate CM Punk," obviously telling us something that we already know, right? And it's going to lead to a steel cage match.
Sky is blue, water is wet.
Yeah,
Seth Rollins hates CM Punk. So do a lot of people hate CM Punk.
And it's going to be Seth Rollins and CM Punk in a steel cage at Madison Square Garden on this coming week for Monday Night Raw. So that's going to be really good.
That's going to happen right there.
There you go. That's it right there. Listen, there's so many ways that this can go. Obviously, you're telling me, Seth needs to get a win here, Seth. But obviously, one way or another, we're going to find out where exactly Roman Reigns falls in all of this, because we haven't seen the Tribal Chief since the Rumble. And obviously, this would be a great way to start that Seth Rollins feud. And where does it leave CM Punk? I don't know. But you mentioned to me that this should be the end of Punk and Rollins for a little bit. And it should lead into either a Rollins and Roman Reigns feud. And then where does that leave CM Punk? But just first, your thoughts on the whole interaction on Raw, and then Seth Rollins' comments, and then the steel cage match that we're going to get Monday night at Madison Square Garden.
Should I save my piece of what I think about CM Punk? Like, should I just talk about
No, this is go ahead,
Okay,
dude.
cool,
Yeah.
cool. All right. So you asked me kind of 3 things there, so I'll be pretty quick on those, and I'll go on what I feel about CM Punk right now. So Seth Rollins, CM Punk, that was cool. That was great. I mean, part of it that was kind of ridiculous because you have 2 individuals here, they're regular sized humans. I mean, you really can't keep these 2 together, but I understood the effect to it as well. I mean, these guys hate each other so much that you can put the whole army, the whole roster, that nothing's going to stop them from getting in their hands on each other. So that was a good effect to it too. It was crazy. The crowd was into it. The crowd liked it. I think there may be 3 or 4 or maybe 5 breakups of the group, which was a little bit too much. But again, I understand the point of it, and it also escalated in the back too as Seth was trying to leave, and then again CM Punk followed him back there, and they're still trying to separate them. Great effect there. I thought it worked. It was well done. In terms of what Seth Rollins said about him, listen, this isn't anything new. We've heard Seth Rollins say things like this before. I don't think they'll ever get into the specifics, although they have been a little bit specific in this storyline in terms of, CM Punk leaving and then trying to bash WWE and him pretending he's a savior, and Seth taking offense to it in terms of he thought he was friends with CM Punk, and then it ended up, his idol or his big brother turned his back on him rather than the other way around, all that stuff. I get it. So Seth didn't say anything brand new that we didn't know, but he was just reaffirming again in the situation, and it's going to lead up to a steel cage match, how much hatred there is now, even more between the 2 of these, if you couldn't possibly think there could be more hatred between these 2. Now, when it comes to CM Punk, I told you about this off air, and I said, just give me a moment here. I promise I will not rant too long, but I need to say this too. Listen, for Phil Brooks, the individual, and CM Punk, I've said this before in the past, I cannot negate the fact of his popularity, his ability to draw the audience, them chanting CM Punk well after he was not in WWE and way before he went to AEW. People were chanting his name in buildings. So you definitely know that you have some type of connection or some type of, presence about you that's going to cause that to happen. But when CM Punk got the microphone, come in, kind of a Stone Cold Steve Austin thing in the pickup truck, and walks into his music hits and takes the microphone, stands on the table, doesn't even bother going to the ring. As much as the shoot or the promo that he said was spot on in terms of he hit his points, everything great, the crowd loved it. I sat there listening to it, and I appreciate how good it was. I'm not going to take anything away from CM Punk on that, but my God, everything that came out of his mouth, I said, you are such a freaking hypocrite. You really are. And I said to you, I was like, am I really, as a fan, not granted, his fans are going to love him no matter what. They're going to cheer CM Punk. But am I really, as a fan of watching, going to feel any sympathy for you, CM Punk? After what you've done since you've come back, saying you're not here to make friends, you're here to make money. Your main goal was to main event WrestleMania. You had an opportunity, but your body failed you. I'm not taking shots at CM Punk. That's just the truth. His body failed him. He tore his tricep at the Royal Rumble. Then Drew McIntyre goes out publicly and says he prayed for this to happen. Wow, that is so offensive to you, CM Punk. That I'm pretty sure a lot of people have prayed for a lot worse than you for you. And because Drew McIntyre publicly said that he prayed for you to get injured, that offended you. You were willing to die because something was so personal that someone took a 7-cent bracelet that had your dog's name on it, and we're supposed to feel, wow, this is really personal between the 2 of these. At the same time, CM Punk, in his situation with Drew McIntyre, costing Drew McIntyre the world title, not just at WrestleMania after he defeated Seth Rollins, but again, when he tried to defeat Damian Priest for it, and Seth Rollins came in as a referee, kicked him in the balls, and cost him the world title again. And then this is the same individual, too, that cost Seth Rollins the world title because he stuck his nose in his business in his match with Damian Priest for the world title and cost him the world title. So I'm supposed to feel bad and cry and feel sorry for you and really root for you because now it was done to you? I hate to say this, but karma's a bitch, CM Punk. And then you got the brunt of that at Elimination Chamber. And now all of a sudden, Seth Rollins has my undivided attention. I could care less. And then for him to go and talk about The Rock and to the scenario where he makes himself as a bigger star than The Rock, for saying that he's a bald fraud, he is bald, but a fraud for what? That he left this business in good hands, set the standard of what's supposed to be, came back eventually, but you're mad because when he came back, he took away your WrestleMania moment. So what does that say about the past regime? What does it say about you, CM Punk, that you're considered at that regime a big enough star to surpass The Rock and Cena took away your main event spot? And now you're going that you're making fun of him and getting the goosebumps, which we see on TV, that's something fake. And that, it's an excuse that he doesn't really love this business. Well, in terms of the fraud, CM Punk's the fraud because CM Punk is the one that left when things were getting difficult. Nobody could hold that against him, but he left. That's the truth. And then he spent all that time prior to going to AEW, maybe 6 years, bashing the company, wanting to go down in flames. It's similar to what Seth Rollins said in a preview. Then going to AEW, bashing the company again, then realizing the people you were working for weren't at that level. But again, at the end of the day, it's never his fault. He's an habitual liar because he thinks the whole world revolves around CM Punk. It doesn't revolve around CM Punk. Yes, you do have an impact in this industry, and you are a bona fide Hall of Famer, which Michael Cole said when it was Cena, Rollins, and CM Punk. CM Punk as the final three there. You're a bona fide Hall of Famer. But my goodness, the world does not revolve around CM Punk, where he has this delusion that all this is conspiring against him when he has no idea, doesn't admit that he brought this on himself. So I'm sorry, CM Punk. I don't feel sorry for you. I don't feel pity for you. You got exactly what you deserved. And if The Rock and the Final Boss ever graces you with his presence, he will kick your skinny little ass. And Seth Rollins is, to me, like I said before, I think he really needs this win. He really does, because I think if you're building this up, CM Punk had the big win after being off Raw for so long. Such an impactful night. CM Punk got that win. I think you need to give this one to Seth in a way. And again, it doesn't have to be clean. Like like you said before, I think Roman is going to be involved in this in some way. But I think Seth needs that win right now, because in a big spot like this in a steel cage, listen, I have no problem. We've talked about before in the past, Jeff. It doesn't matter if you lose, and wins aren't that important, but it's the manner in which you lose, and especially when it's boiled down to this, and Seth has cost CM Punk this. I don't think CM Punk gets his revenge on Seth Rollins just now. I think Seth Rollins gets the one-ups on CM Punk at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think that Roman Reigns, what he wants to do is he wants to cost, because just as much as that hatred is between CM Punk and Seth, I believe that what's going to set Roman off was that curb stomp, and I think that he's going to cost CM Punk. I mean, cost Seth Rollins here in this one. It's going to be interesting to see. I'm looking forward to it, and I get it. Everything you said about CM Punk in that is true. I can't fight you on it, but Seth Rollins has spoken the truth. He gets more backlash on it. There's more CM Punk fans that just see CM Punk's truth, and Seth Rollins, they don't. Now, what will that do for Seth Rollins? Will that cause him to align, maybe to go to the dark side eventually? Will that, just like Kevin Owens, because Kevin Owens believes that he's right all the time.
Yeah.
And whether you think so or not, he got his revenge on Sami Zayn, and now he's got to worry about Randy Orton. For Seth Rollins, though, he's telling all the masses, he's telling everybody he can. It's become
Drew McIntyre did the same thing.
It's become an obsession. And it seems like the more you obsess about this guy, the more you hurt your own career. So we'll see what happens going forward, because something's going to happen with Seth. Either this is going to set him off, and you might see Seth go to the dark side, or something's going to happen. That's all I'm going to know, because Seth Rollins makes all the. You've spoken for Seth. You've spoken for Seth here. You've made the points. You've validated everything he said on that show on Raw Recap.
Yeah.
But the fans.
Let me ask you this question though. I know the fans are going to be there. They're going to be on the side of CM Punk, and some will be on the side of Seth. But for you, that promo, as good as it was, and I give it credit, it was really good, and you liked it as well. I could tell you're like, wow, look at what he's saying, right? Did he have valid points to go after Seth that way? Did he have valid points to go after The Rock that way? Was there validity in what he said?
I think everybody, and listen, I get it. I know. You just like I said, you've said everything. You've made the case for Seth freaking Rollins, right? Everything you did, you set the tone. There's people that are going to believe CM Punk. Yes, CM Punk believes that he's right. I'm telling you this, Trendsetter. CM Punk does not see it from your side. He believes he believes that he's done nothing wrong. He doesn't see what Seth Rollins and you see. So, I mean, whether it's delusion, whether it's just thinking that his truth is the right truth, he doesn't see it that way. And people side with his version. Again, people have different versions. People have different beliefs. People have different people they want to believe in, and a lot of people believe in CM Punk, that he's been screwed, that he was screwed at the Elimination Chamber, and that he has every right to go after Seth freaking Rollins, which is what makes it so great, because they both have points. They both have points. Now, whose side do you believe? It's up to you. So I think that they've made valid points, and I cannot wait for MSG. I cannot wait for the steel cage match. That in itself is going to be one to watch. And these Raws, these SmackDowns, these NXTs are going to get so much better as we're on the road to WrestleMania, trendsetter. Another thing about Raw too is, again, the unpredictability too. While we're on that road to WrestleMania, how about Iyo Sky? Did you see that? Did you see Iyo Sky becoming the new women's champion, defeating Rhea Ripley? I mean, wow, that was not in my cards, trendsetter, to see Iyo Sky walk away. But what a good match. What a way to set up a possible triple threat. But Iyo Sky defeating Rhea Ripley. And then here's another thing you want to touch on, and here's your platform to say that Rhea Ripley interview post-show, where Rhea Ripley spent too much time focusing on Bianca Belair and not focusing on Iyo Sky, her opponent, who she has not beaten yet, and telling Bianca, I'm going to see you WrestleMania, being so overconfident that overconfidence cost her in the end. And Rhea Ripley delivers in a very emotional promo. A lot of people liked it. Obviously, you're going to give me your 2 cents on this right now. But just your thought, did you see that one coming, Trent? There, did you see Rhea Ripley losing that title? And now her main event at WrestleMania is in question.
Quick answer, no. But the way they were presenting it, and I would see Rhea Ripley arrive into the building very emotional, very different from what we've seen Rhea Ripley. She's always had a smile on her face, or always kind of exuded this confidence when she's walked into the building, because she's been the most dominant force in the women's division, right? Different when you saw her walk into the building. Different when people saw her walk into the building and they're doing stuff on social media where she didn't look really happy. And then them talking about how she hadn't defeated Iyo Sky, has never beaten her. I'm thinking, wow, they're building this up to make it look more believable that, this could possibly happen. And I said, great, that's what you want. You don't want it to feel like it's going to be a one-sided match, which I thought was going to be not a one-sided match, but I knew who the victor was going to be, and it wasn't. And when it happened, I turned to you and I was like, wow, I kind of like this. Who would have thought? Because they're not set in what they want to do yet for WrestleMania. I'm sure they are, but they're not set in leaving it to the audience to say, okay, well, we know from this point on, it's going to be Bianca and Rhea. We're going to throw something out there you're not expecting, and that's what I love from a fan standpoint, the unpredictability of it. But when we talk about Rhea Ripley, Rhea bloody Ripley, this image right here, Jeff, I
didn't see that coming.
I am sorry, but give me a break. I love Rhea Ripley. I really do. I love her. She's a sweetheart of a person. I'm talking again from the character standpoint. Give me a break, Rhea. Am I supposed to shed tears? Because, Jeff, this is the same woman who, listen, I'm so happy that she found who she is. And what an amazing star that she is. And when the moment she figured out who she was, that star was going up fast. We all saw it. We all were excited for it, and we still are, because, again, I still feel she has only reached not even her potential yet of the star power she'll have in the future for herself. But from what she's done and made everyone's lives miserable, the Mysterio family from the Judgment Day, to Beth Phoenix and Adam Copeland, Edge. I'll call him Edge. I'm not calling him Adam Copeland. Cope. That's another story. And what she's done to Liv Morgan, all the women's in that division, where she said, you get in my way, I'm going to knock you down, and I'm not going to feel bad about it whatsoever, actually gloats when these individuals are hurt and injured. Never once felt bad of anything she did to these poor individuals. And now, when the Liv Morgan revenge tour hit you like a bus and popped out your shoulder and created one of the best storylines I've seen in a really long time in the women's division with Rhea and Liv, I'm supposed to feel sorry for you? This is like a CM Punk thing. I'm supposed to feel bad for you? You're going to cry tears. You're like, I'm mad at myself and I don't have any friends in this. But who cares about friends? This is the woman who wants to be solo, who wants it all to be about her. And now she's worried about friends. She's literally concerned that Bianca Belair is clapping and encouraging Iyo to get in the ring, and that affects her. How weak-minded has Rhea Ripley become now as a character in terms of how she's presented for that to be bothering her? I mean, a complete 180 in terms of that, too. Like, I'm sorry. Same thing with CM Punk. Karma hurts, Rhea. and you are paying for your sins that you've done. And I'll say, like CM Punk, when I've talked about CM Punk and I'm talking about Rhea, Jeff, stop me. Honestly, stop me when I'm telling lies here, because I am not. I'm just stating fact that Rhea has done all these things and has never once taken blame or taken responsibility for it.
I just think it's very weird to me that somebody that's as strong as Rhea Ripley, when adversity hits, it's just something that she's not. She hasn't been able to rise up to that.
Yeah, as I say, strong
So
body,
it's
weak mind.
for this is it's a weird way for WWE to go about this and causing her this vulnerability because she's strong as hell, and obviously this has been a obviously they've focused on the loss of Damian Priest, him moving over to SmackDown, talk about friends. Really, there are no friends too. Obviously, she's been hurt by Liv and Dom, and then hurt by losing Damian, the Judgment Day, and then thinking that she was friends with Bianca because they came up together and they were gonna have this match and everything, and that Bianca was rooting for her and stuff like that. But you have this easy way. You have this goal. You beat Iyo and you get that opportunity. Doesn't matter what Bianca did in the on the outside. You got to focus on you and you got to focus on that. It sounds like excuses. I don't think she's well. It is an excuse, and just her not handling adversity at all was just very surprising to me that's where they're going with Rhea Ripley. But at the end of the day, though, I like the promo because you might not like the tone, but I like the way that she delivered it. And if that's the way that they're doing, she delivered spot on. But obviously, she's gonna. I don't see her not being in this matchup as a triple threat. I mean, that's the rumor that it's going to be a triple threat. I don't see Rhea Ripley being out of the card. But Iyo Sky winning as a twist because it's going to have that seed of doubt whether Rhea Ripley can beat an Iyo Sky. And Bianca Belair might have more problems besides Iyo Sky and Rhea and Jade Cargill, because at the end of the day, I think that Bianca Belair is going to be a heel. You could see that. You could see like her master plan was starting to unfold because that's what she wanted. She wanted Iyo Sky. No offense to Iyo Sky, but I believe that Bianca Belair thinks that it's a much easier road to beat Iyo than Rhea Ripley. And so obviously her plan, maybe she knew that by her clapping for Iyo, it would hurt Rhea Ripley because she knows her. Who knows her better than Bianca, right? So it's going to be interesting to see. But I got to believe that this is still going to be a triple threat match at WrestleMania.
Listen, it might be the case. I just feel personally, if it is the case, it's a triple threat match. I'm sorry, I don't mind triple threat matches at times, but I feel it would be an injustice because I'm sure a lot of people want to see Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair. And if that's the case, and you moved on to Iyo Sky, then I would want to keep it with Iyo. Though I feel bad that it seems right now from how we're talking about it, and we'll find out as the weeks go by, she seems to be like the third wheel, and I don't think she deserves that.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'll believe when I see Rhea Ripley not being added to this triple threat match. So I believe that's where they're going to go. We had NXT, an eventful NXT, as they're on the road to Roadblock here at the theater at Madison Square Garden. I'm just psyched for Stephanie Vaquer and Julia. I cannot wait for that one. It's going to be a big, big event here next week for NXT Roadblock. It was preempted here in New York because in Chicago, I believe, and I think it was because of the presidential speech too. So the rating might not have been as good this turnaround, but still, though, obviously, that to me is the excuse. They didn't have the New York or Chicago market. But again, we're on the road to Roadblock, and we'll preview that on the next show as well. Roadblock will be very interesting because we'll see what happens here with Julia and Stephanie Vaquer. See what happens here. Obviously, Stephanie Vaquer had a great interview too. Where she talked about just her passion, why she chose WWE, and just her choosing to be on NXT first. Obviously, they've hit a home run with Julia and Stephanie Vaquer, but you can tell Stephanie Vaquer is going to be a star. She has her. How could you not root for this woman? I mean, obviously, she's doing great, and it's going to be interesting, dude. I cannot wait for NXT Roadblock.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited for it. I mean, that's the main thing I'm looking at in terms of this storyline, but just again, this integration of TNA and NXT working together, to me, if this is a small little taste, Jeff, of where it's expected to happen, because look, you have Moose, you have Jordan Grace, no longer part of NXT. Sorry, of TNA, now part of NXT. You have the
Hardy Boys, man. Yeah, man.
It's not too much and it's not too little. I feel like right now it's just enough, and it has the crowd who are huge fans of NXT. I mean, you have people who are just followers of NXT. They won't watch Raw or SmackDown. They just are dedicated to this brand of what Triple H started with it, what Shawn Michaels is continuing with it. And I think right now it's in the best position it's been in a really long time. I'd say even has the potential. Time will tell, though, but I feel it has the potential to supersede what Black and Gold was from the early inception of NXT, where it was so exciting and like you saw all these individuals from the indie scene and you saw them given a platform and how great it was. Then it was changed to 2.0, but now this version I feel is starting to build momentum. That women's division is stacked. Now, I'm not just talking about Stephanie Valkyra and Julia. That women's division has a lot of talent behind it, a lot of matches that could be made that are going to be amazing to watch. And that men's division, that tag team division is slowly building up. This partnership with TNA, I think, will help patch anything up and will bring stars that we haven't seen before in a long time or haven't seen on that type of platform. And it'll create new exciting storylines, which I'm sure the fans and you and I are going to enjoy and not, we'll complain, we'll nitpick things here and there, but I think you can't complain in terms of the diversity and the variety that you're going to have now with NXT and TNA working together.
Yeah, and then of course Moose and Obafemi will collide for the NXT Championship, and then the Hardy Boys are coming back to take on the best team, I believe, this past year in Fraxium with Axiom and Nathan Frazier. So we'll see that as well too. So obviously NXT is just keeps plugging away, man. They're doing a tremendous job. Obviously, we can't also forget Ricky Saints too, how he'll be integrated into this into the main event scene shortly before takeover in Mania 2. So that's going to be fun to watch. So right now NXT is looking forward to Roadblock. As far as AEW, we're going to have a Revolution preview on the next show, but a little bit of Dynamite. Just real quick, though, obviously you got 600,000 viewers as we talk Dynamite here, and obviously it was an improvement from the last couple weeks. So it's not including the HBO Max numbers, but obviously they're heading into their event in LA. And obviously it's going to be, to me, the two matches I'm looking forward to here. Yes, Kenny Omega's on it. Yes, Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher is going to be great. But I want to see Mariah May and Toni Storm. And I want to see Hangman Adam Page and MJF just to see that matchup. I think that's been really well put together. But obviously, too, this is, if you like wrestling, this is going to be your card. This is going to be your type of event too. So obviously, we'll discuss more about that. But the ratings are the ratings too, and honestly, like until they move away from the Death Riders and that god awful. I mean, I have no interest in Moxley and Cope. And it just, to me, that's just how it is. There's just no, to me, Cope is mowing down the Death Riders one by one. And, we're going to see what happens with Jay White. Obviously, there might be a screw job there. But to me, those are the two matches I'm looking forward to. Mostly Toni Storm and Mariah May. Obviously, had an intense promo before. I like it. And then MJF and Hangman Page, because I think MJF can deliver. And we'll see what happens with that. But Dynamite's ho-hum and Revolution, man. Hopefully it's a good show. Obviously, it will be if you're a wrestling fan, so we'll see, Trendsetter. What about AEW Revolution this Sunday are you looking forward to?
Listen, the two matches you mentioned, but also another one that I think might be a sleeper that not a lot of people are talking about. And I can understand why they're not talking about it because I'll be honest, the build-up to it has been kind of weird. I'm not going to bash or anything like that. It's been kind of weird for me in terms of the build-up for it, but I do know what these two individuals can do, and they have the ability, I feel, of stealing the show because they're just that good, in my opinion. And that's Ricochet and whose house? Swerve's house. I think that one has the potential. Granted, I feel the build-up could have gone differently because there's so much history between the two of them. They could have used that and utilized that. And this whole version of Ricochet is kind of awkward, but again, he's trying to go with something different here. But I think those two have the potential of having magic in the ring because they've always been so good in the ring together. You can't buy chemistry in terms of that. Looking forward to Adam and MJF, and then Mariah May and Toni Storm. Those are the three I think are going to be good. But I think Ricochet and Swerve have the ability of stealing the show.
All right, so two quick things, Trendsetter, before we go and call it a day. Too, I didn't tease it because you're so into John Cena, but after this, I will give WWE a free merch plug here, and if they use it, just tag me because I think this should be the shirt John Cena comes out with eventually down the road. It's kind of funny. It's a play on of a former WCW pay-per-view, so hopefully they do that. But I'll tease that at the end. I will present it to the masses here and show you. But the one final thing I want to get to, Trendsetter, is this. We all love Jeff Jarrett. Jeff Jarrett has been great to the show because we had him on really early in the inception of HSP when he was there for, I believe, All In. He joined the show. He joined HSP for a few minutes. So, and when we met him, he was nice to us and everything like that. So I love Jeff Jarrett. WWE Hall of Famer. He's done a lot for the business. Well, and obviously, having one final run after being released from WWE in AEW, and all of a sudden has disappeared from the main event scene because I think he was vying for the AEW World Title, was he not? Just a few months ago. So obviously he's not there right now, but he did mention that the whole John Cena turning heel, there's one thing he did not agree with, and that is with Cody Rhodes telling The Rock, "Go F yourself." So Jeff Jarrett, from the bottom of my heart, I love you to death, but can I get, this is what I think of your comments. You saying it was not necessary, it didn't do anything for that. And I got to tell you guys, when you heard Cody say,
"Hey Rock, go fuck yourself,"
tell me that didn't get your blood boiling and make you go, yeah, man, yeah. Yes or no? What do you think? Do you think that to me was key in the storyline, or was it not needed? I think, fuck yeah, man. Hell yeah. It was so needed. When do you ever hear WWE go off the boards with the F-bomb? Never. And I think it was, to me, it was freaking awesome. So I love Jeff Jarrett. I think he's, great guy, but I think he was way off on this take. I think that it did a lot for this promo. It got the crowd. When Cody said that, for the baby face to just turn on The Rock and say, F you, Rock, I think it was hell of it was a hell of a job timing that out, because I think it was great.
It was an explosion. That's what it was. It's something similar to John Cena turning heel. For Cody to say that, and for them not to bleep or anything like that, I understand it was a premium live event, right? But all those things caught us off guard. Now, when you use language like that, people are like, "Oh, that's cheap heat," or that, it's easy to say that. But it's sometimes
it's an AEW thing. WWE doesn't do it.
Yeah, and sometimes in moments it's used for that. So listen, like I said before, I respect Jeff Jarrett. I respect what he's done in this industry, what he's done in the career as a promoter, as a wrestler. His family's had a long lineage in this industry as well. But he's entitled to his opinion. But I think he's wrong too, because that's nitpicking to me. Because here's the thing: as much as we're talking about it now, and as cool as it was at that moment when he told off The Rock and the crowd's going crazy, and like, yes, he finally told off The Rock what he wanted to say for so long, right? I'm sure a lot of people wanted to say that to The Rock. Even CM Punk, the hypocrite, has wanted to say that to The Rock to his face, but Cody's the one that did it. Nobody talked about that. Everyone talked about the John Cena turn. So as much as you're mentioning it in terms of what Jeff Jarrett's talking about, that was the initial ignition to what the explosion was, which was the heel turn. So again, I don't hear a lot of people talking about him cursing it. I think they say it in jest and joking and laughing, but the biggest thing was the turn, the look, the stare that we talked about in the beginning of the show that was so ominous and scary looking. That's what people are talking about. They're not talking about Cody cursing and saying F you to The Rock. They're talking about the turn. So I think he's missing the point to a certain degree. Again, who am I, right? He's in the business and he's legendary, but sometimes I think that's just nitpicking in a sense, because was it necessary? Probably not, but it would have gotten that.
See, then you're agreeing with Jeff.
No,
To me, it was totally unnecessary.
Probably not in terms of him, but was it? Did it serve its purpose? Yes, because it got that reaction. It was needed, because in that build up to the to the feeling of what the final boss has done in Cody's life, leading up to him winning the title, it was just him finally letting that off his chest and saying what he wanted to say to The Rock. So was it necessary in his mind? No, but to me and to you and to a lot of fans, they're just saying what they wanted to say. It's like similar when Stone Cold gave that first middle finger to Vince McMahon. That's what everybody wanted to do to Vince. And that's what Cody said to The Rock.
Totally need the babyface to be rebellious to the authority, and that was a great way of doing it. WWE doesn't overblow with that F word. It is WrestleMania season, so that's why you're going to hear the F-bomb. That's why you heard the bullshit on Raw. And you're probably not going to hear it again, past WrestleMania season. So I think it was a very effective, and The Rock's reaction to me was obviously well worth it, because The Rock was quiet and he was seething, and I think it hit the point. So Jeff Jarrett, with all due respect, I totally think you're way off on that premises. And then Trendsetter Now, I did tease it, and here we go. Guys, to me, WWE.com, WWEshop.com, if you want to use this, by all means, do this. I don't know if the face was, you have to maybe do the Cena face from Saturday, so nothing goes on, but I think they should use the sold out logo for WCW, the original one. And I think this would be my first shirt for John Cena. What do you guys think? Drum roll. Sold out John Cena. What do you think? I got a lot of positive feedback on our Instagram. A lot of people thought that was for real. That was the shirt. WWE, by all means, please take it. And if you do, just give me some credit for it, and maybe some tickets to WrestleMania this year.
Credit, give us some royalties, man. What are we talking about? That's a great idea. I don't care about getting credit for
Show
that.
it again, Trendsetter. Show it again. Let's show it. Let's
Come on,
let's
this is really well done. I was going to ask you a question. Is this from like the Fast and the Furious?
Yes. What was his name? What was his name in? Yeah, I didn't watch that one.
I didn't watch. It was like the 17th.
Jacob? Was it Jacob?
Probably. He's supposed to be Vin Diesel's brother in the movie.
Oh yeah, I can see the resemblance.
I could see it definitely. Yeah, but that's it looked familiar in terms of the face he made. But I think it was a great idea, great concept there.
I love it.
You know, Jeff, honestly, forget the royalties, forget the credit or the pat on the back or notoriety. Give us the royalties for that, because everyone saw that and like, oh my God, is that real shit? They're gonna buy it. That's money right there. Give us a portion of that. We gave you the idea. It ain't for free, guys. So please, W, if you're gonna use it, please. It was mentioned here in the High Spot Podcast. You know how to contact us. Send a check our way, because you know we just gave you a great idea that's gonna sell off the stands everywhere.
And to the guys from the Give Shot Network who do a great job turning around and doing clips for us, which we love you for it. We appreciate you boys for doing it. Shout out to you, to the production here at Give a Shot Network. They go above and beyond for HSP here with some of the stuff. Clip that one, because that to me should be the John Cena's first shirt. I mean, obviously I didn't turn it to black, but it should be obviously a black shirt. But yeah, man,
I like the blue color.
Yeah. And, you know, wrestlers are always with the black shirts. Obviously, that's the go-to shirts, whatever. But hey, just a thought, WWE. If you want to take it from me, by all means, just 2 front row tickets a day, 1 and 2 of WrestleMania. I'm not hard to please. All expenses.
And Jeff, the tickets, give me the check.
Or the royalties made to HSP Podcast LLC. All right, Trendsetter. So much to discuss coming up. Obviously, we've got AEW Revolution. Obviously, Friday Night SmackDown. We'll find out what Cody has to say about John Cena. And, of course, Monday Night Raw. We'll have the weekend episode for you. We'll wrap everything in a ribbon and preview AEW. We might do a live after a Revolution. Not sure. We can keep you posted on all our social media at High Spot Podcast. And obviously, stay tuned, and obviously stay with us here on the Give a Shot Network. Like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell to make sure you don't miss a single episode of HSP here on the Give Us a Shot Network on YouTube. And also, too, guys, if you can't watch us, listen to us. Listen to our beautiful voices on Apple Podcasts and all podcast platforms, on iHeart, on Spotify. You can catch HSP in audio style. Trendsetter, it's great being with you. Obviously, lots to do towards the weekend, but guys, we wrapped up some Raw, some NXT, talked a little bit of John Cena, wrapped everything for you guys here, and now we move forward to the weekend, and we'll see you there, Trendsetter. Now, do what you do best and wrap this sucker up.
Do a show after Revolution. I can't stay up till 3 a.m.
Oh, I know it.
Basically. But guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode of the High Spot Podcast, HSP. For my tag team partner, Jeff Martin, I'm the Trendsetter, Brian Berga. It is WrestleMania season, guys. It's exciting. So many things are going on right now, and only so little time to talk about it. But we will be reaching out to you guys every single time, talking about the things you guys want to talk about. So we appreciate you guys with us, because remember, we do this show for one reason and one reason only. We do it for you, the crew.